Hello and welcome back to the Arsenal Therapy Podcast. My name is Farhan, also known as Gunner since '96, and you're watching our post-match reaction podcast, where we will be analysing and talking about Arsenal's defeat to Everton last night. So we are recording the morning after because there was so much that happened last night. I think myself and James were just absolutely shattered from all the drama and everything that was going on. James, how are you feeling this morning?
I am still very disappointed with the defeat, but more so very, very happy about what happened yesterday because it was just absolutely staggering. The amount of people that were there. Obviously, I'm talking about the protests here. You were there.
Yeah,
I saw your. I managed to catch it a few minutes of your live stream here and there, and then
yeah.
media were covering it. Sky were there. Talk Sport were there. Everyone was there. I think the number's like 5,000. 5,000 people were at the protest, and my God, did you make your voices heard last night? Even from the live stream, it was so loud. The just general uh feeling of it was absolutely amazing, and if only I could have been there to witness that, but unfortunately I wasn't able to. But I certainly got a good enough feel on TV and all the various live streams that it felt like I was there because it was that big and that massive. I don't know what you probably have a better recollection of it than me because you were there. So
Yeah.
tell me all about it.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, Lucas put out a comment just now. Are you going to the protest again on the 6th of May? I can confirm that there will be another protest on 6th of May. Sorry, not 6th of May, on the 2nd of May. Cronky out protest number 2, and that will be held at 12:30 p.m. That's on a Sunday. I need to check my schedule to see what on earth is going on that day. Let's see. I'm going to try my absolute hardest and absolute best to get there. In terms of yesterday was a massive success, and it was a massive first step forward for the club and for the fan base, because, and I said it yesterday, I was on Anthony's channel for a little bit when I got there, just to give him a reaction of what was going on. And when I was on his channel, it was very early on. I think I got there an hour before. I wanted to get my banner up. Thankfully I got a space to do that. And then initially when I got there, it was, there were fans there that were lining up just above the armory, and there were a few chants here and there. It was mellow. It was still quite calm, reserved, but you could tell that these guys were on edge. It seemed like the atmosphere seemed a little bit tense, but all for the good reasons, for the right reasons. It wasn't a tense in a kind of way where, there was potential violence that could happen, potential fan groups who could clash with each other. It was a unified, tense kind of atmosphere where we were just waiting to see how many people turn up before we erupt. And it didn't take very long. It didn't take very long at all. Like I said, I was on Anthony's channel, and I was talking to him, and all of a sudden the flare just went off behind me. And
At the
luckily for
roundabout.
him, the roundabout. That's right. And luckily for him, he was able to see it firsthand. And it was straight after that where the atmosphere sort of changed, and there was a bit more of a buzz.
Yeah.
People were a little bit more electric and a bit more upbeat. Chants were going off left, right, and center. We started it at the top above the armory, and then people made their way down in front of the armory, and that's where it really came to life.
Yeah.
It was a brilliant atmosphere. It was great for the fans because this was the first time that fans could get together since the lockdown, since we've been refused entry. Sorry, Lucas is just asking, where did you hear 2nd of May? It's plastered all over social media, mate. I've just got a couple screenshots that says Sunday the 2nd of May. I don't know whether is that incorrect information. As far as I know, it shouldn't be incorrect. But yeah, I'm sure it will be confirmed today in the next few hours. Anyway, so as I was saying, there was I'd say there's a number of reasons why it was as successful as it was, and we got the reaction that we wanted. Maybe a bigger reaction than we wanted, because, like I said, fans. This was the first time fans were able to get around each other, be together, be unified, and
Yeah.
all for the right reasons as well. Um, the Super League was the catalyst, and now we move forward to try and take advantage of this momentum. There was one fan that was hurt
Oh
because
yeah,
he
I
got
saw
up.
that.
He got on the box office roof and fell face first.
Oh my
Um,
god. I saw
so
the I did see a video because it was covered on the football terrace.
yeah.
Uh, and I did see he was stretched away and
Mm.
but
Yeah, I'm hearing that he's okay. He is. It's not life threatening or anything like that. But yeah, shout out to all the fans that were there, and there were a number of different fans, and there were fans that were there to be with their mates. There were fans that were there who were your rowdy type, the type that you see turn up for these kind of things, and there weren't your average fans who attend games, I'd say, because I think me and you are in a reasonable well position, having gone to games, to know what type of
yeah.
audience we get at the Emirates. So it
Yeah.
wasn't it wasn't it wasn't your let's say, I don't want to stereotype and label, but your average middle class person who, and I think it's safe to say that the majority of fans that attend Arsenal games are of that ilk, where it's
Yeah.
very hush hush. They want to sit down, enjoy the game, rather than be on their feet chanting throughout the whole game. Aside from the North Bank, I don't see it happening, in many other areas of the stadium.
Mm.
But yeah, it was good to see that the rowdy faction of the Arsenal fan base were there,
Yeah.
and it helped because it made the protest bigger than what we would have expected. What we expected, definitely what I expected. And I'm not the type to, be in the center of these kind of things and go crazy. I was moving from one place to another, ended up at the top of the stairs, and managed to get a really good view of it all. But yeah, it was nice. It was
Yeah.
very, very, it was heartwarming, and it was, like I said, this is only the first step.
Yeah.
There will need to be several more of these in order to get any type of change, in order to get any type of reaction. And this waking up this morning, I feel a little bit, um, I feel a little bit on edge.
Yeah, I
Like,
can understand.
I don't know. Like, I'm glad it happened, but I think this is the most important time right now, the aftermath of it all, to see how the club reacts, how Josh and Stan reacts. Will we get a reaction? That's not, because we don't get a reaction, then I feel like that's almost, it's
Yeah.
almost the most frustrating thing, isn't it?
You put all
When
that
you've
effort
done
in.
the hard
Yeah.
work. Yeah,
Yeah. You've put all that effort in for nothing, and you would expect to at least get some sort of reaction. Obviously, Vinay and were there and yesterday at the game, so they would have known. The thing I found, well, not funny, but the thing I felt, they prepared for this. They prepared for the protest because they were already in the stadium when
yeah,
people started turning up. So I thought so. I was expecting, how Chelsea did it, where they would block the bus, but you obviously couldn't because
mm,
they were already in the stadium. They were already prepared.
yeah.
I see a video going around social media. I don't know if you were there at that time. Hector Bellerin was waving to fans out the window.
Yeah, I don't know whether that was actually Hector Bellerin. I think they were like, it was later confirmed that that guy wasn't Hector Bellerin. It was just
I don't
some
know.
guy that was working for Arsenal, but it very well might have been. Who knows? I mean, there was a few famous faces. I did manage to see Hugh Izzy there. I don't know if you're familiar with
Yeah, yeah.
who is it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I managed to see Hugh Izzy there. I managed to see a lot of Arsenal fan TV members there as well. But like you said, the biggest victory for me was seeing Sky Sports, Talk Sport, and all of the other media outlets. I was a little bit not optimistic. Sorry, I was a little bit skeptical about whether I was going to see media and cameras and all that kind of stuff, because I don't know how much airtime they would have wanted to give a movement like this. And I was really happy that they did, because aside from it being, a little bit related to the Super League, ultimately this was specifically for Kroenke. This was
Mm.
to get him out. It wasn't to do with our outrage of what he had done. It was our outrage of what he had done throughout the last 10, 15 years, or since 2006, where he was involved in the club. So regardless of what happens now, I think it's good to see that the word is out, and
Mm.
it's good to see that the global fan knows what this is all about.
And also, it attracted interest from someone who, yeah, it might be a joke, I don't know, but it attracted someone declaring their interest in Arsenal with
Yeah.
the Spotify owner and everything else. So maybe
Yeah, yeah,
that's interesting. That is really, really
yeah.
interesting. I've never actually seen,
It is really interesting. Yeah, because
apart from Dangote, I've never seen anyone talk about owning the club other than him.
mm,
So
mm.
to have someone put it out on Twitter saying, "Oh, I'd love to own the club," then who knows? But it
And I
was a
th- and
really
I think there will be a number of people that come forward. The more protests that happen, the more eyes will be put on us, and the more pressure Kroenke will have to ultimately, sell the club, or at least to have that conversation. But that's the real question, really, and that's where all the hard work begins. It's not now. It's not trying to get the Kroenkes out. It's what happens when they eventually leave. What kind of owner do you get in? What kind of model do you follow? Do we follow the German kind of model where 51% of fans own the club? And like I said, is our will our new owners be more transparent with the fans? Because I don't know whether you managed to listen to the fans forum,
a little bit.
the audio. Yes, because they released the audio. I think it was one of the journalists who put it on his YouTube channel, and whilst I was on my way to the Emirates, I managed to listen to all of it, and it was really interesting to put a voice to all of those quotes. And I could having listened to that 45 minutes of trash nonsense, I think I can safely say that Josh Kroenke really doesn't care for the Arsenal fans and for Arsenal as a football club. I just got the impression, the blunt answers, the short, witty remarks as well.
Mm.
Didn't seem apologetic, didn't seem very sympathetic, didn't seem empathetic either. So it really is a question of when will we finally get rid of these owners, and who's going to come in next? And I think waking up this morning, I've got a bit of bitter taste in my mouth because of the result that we got yesterday,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
just the whole state of this club. It just doesn't really sit well with me. It doesn't sit
No.
right with me. I never
No.
imagined Arsenal to be in this type of situation before, to sell their values down the toilet, and then to have a season that they're having right now. It is a real mess from top
Yeah.
to bottom, and yesterday's result epitomized all of that.
It did, and I've said, obviously, I've said to you and I've said to other people that I became a fan in 2014. So I became a fan when we what ended the cup drought, and from there, it's kind of just snowballed into what it is now. Yes, we've had a few trophies, like a few sporadic FA Cups here and there, but nothing of note. And then in the background, you always hear, "Oh, Stan Kroenke," and this is just, as you said, I've remained quiet over the last few months about it, but now I just can't seem to, you know, support him,
Hmm.
because it's just the the best comment from that fans forum was um and not in a good way either, was the sarcastic Friday night in Stoke. I cannot get that out of my head. I
Yeah.
cannot get that arrogant, and the fact that he may have been told to say that, because I guarantee you he wouldn't know where Stoke. Well, I can't guarantee, but I can
Well,
imagine he.
the funny thing is, he said we didn't get to actually hear the full quote because sorry, yeah, we didn't get the full quote because when they released it, it was kind of verbatim. Is that the right word? He some
Yeah.
it was a summarized comment, and the actual full comment was he saw a Chelsea banner that said we still want our cold nights in Stoke, which almost makes it worse because it just shows that he doesn't really understand the he doesn't understand the English fans. He doesn't understand why we watch football and what we get out of cold nights in Stoke. It's not
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know. I
not.
just it's not the cold nights in Stoke that we look forward to.
It's playing lesser teams and a bit. Well, it's playing the lesser teams and hoping that you get a result and you can see your team perform. And you travel all that way, whether it be from people come up from work when they finish work, they just travel up to the football, on the train, get a few beers in, whatever you like to do, and it's just that under the floodlights is another
Mm,
good
mm.
is another
Yeah.
good thing, but. Yeah, it's just really weird, and I really didn't take much notice of the result last night, if I'm
Mm,
honest,
mm,
because everything was drowned out by that massive protest at the beginning,
mm.
and that alone shows how big the protest is. We've got like Manchester United fans and Chelsea fans saying, and I don't know if there's any Tottenham fans, but I imagine so, saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, that protest was really good. That's what you need to aspire to." So we've managed to get a lot of eyes on it yesterday, and
Yeah.
hope it continues. And I haven't been down the Emirates today, but I can imagine that it's a little bit of a. I know there was a lot of rubbish left around, but
Mm.
it's. I'm not justifying that, but it's a protest, so yeah, people are going to leave stuff around. I know there was a picture yesterday posted by one of the journalists, and it was just a Cronky out sticker that they were sticking on the
Yeah.
and it just summed it up really. It just summed it up. Everything else was gone. No one was there, and then it was just sitting in the road was a Cronky out
Mm,
sign.
mm.
And that's what that's what eventually what we want, and hopefully it can come sooner rather than later. Because as much
Yeah.
as I would want them to turn it around, I just don't think it's going to happen. I would love them to go. You know what? We're going to start again, and we're going to do what you want. But that's never going to happen with these owners. So I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, and again, that's something else. I mean, I did get a sense of almost a bit of a desperate plea from Josh in at the fans forum. He made some promises that he was going to be stationed here in London a lot more. That there was going to be a far more transparent relationship with the fans. That he was going to
Mm.
be a lot more involved. But the back of my mind, I'm thinking, why is it happening now? Where was
But
this energy like
he said,
5 6 years
yeah.
ago?
Yeah, but he said that before. He said that when he did the interview a couple of years ago and said be excited. He said all that stuff
Mm,
before, and it's never ever happened. But you know
mm.
what? Hats off to him if he makes those promises and manages to keep them. But I just can't see it. Just can't see it.
Yeah, I can't see it either. And like I said, this is far more than money. This is far more than just having owners who invest in the club. I think, to be honest, for me personally, investment in the club and giving us money to spend in the window is secondary. It's like the last thing we should be looking at. Right now,
Mm,
the problems at this club are far more deeper than just investing and bringing in players and having success on the pitch. It needs to be fixed from the very top, meaning we need players, sorry, not players, we need people who are competent and who will take the initiative to do their job well. Um,
mm,
Vinay has shown us that he isn't competent, that he is nothing more than a follower, a sheep following, the teams at the top. And he said it at the fans forum. The reason Arsenal were not at the forefront of forming this Super League, we decided right at the last minute to join because we didn't want to miss out. And what does that
that,
show you? What does that show you about a CEO? What does that show you about a club's values? And what does that show you about the club's status? We are looking at other clubs to see what they're doing, and because they've created their own club, they've created their own members only club. Arsenal decide to join because they're afraid to miss out. Once upon a time, Arsenal were the club that was setting standards.
mm-hmm.
When Arsene Wenger came to England and he revolutionized the game, clubs around the country replicated what he was doing, and now we see ourselves in this position. And like I said, I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't even know whether Arsenal are capable of making a transformation. In the back of my mind and deep within my heart, regretfully, I do think that Arsenal have made their bed, and I do think it's only a matter of time before this only becomes reality, and we do become a mid-table team.
I think we
I don't
already
know.
are. I think we
I,
already are a mid-table team.
I mean, how realistic is it that we will these troubling times will reverse itself and we'll be back to where we were?
Look, eventually we will be back. Eventually we will be back to where we were, but it has to. It will take a lot. It will take a lot longer. Look, as long as the Cronkies stay here, we're never going to go back to where we need to be fast, and I don't think we'll ever get back to where we need to be again. So it's just damage limitation at this point. They either want to get out now, or they want to drag on the process to making us, I'm not used to talking about this. I've stayed quiet for so many years about this situation, but so it's quite odd for me to talk about this. But now is the time that we need to make a change and get this club back to where it needs to be. And because
Yeah.
I want to see Arsenal win a Premier League in my lifetime, and I want to see them win a Champions League and multiple trophies and challenging the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool and the big clubs, big club mentality. We don't have that at the minute.
We don't have that anymore. No, we don't. We
And
don't.
that,
And you mentioned that you want Arsenal to win a Premier League in your lifetime, and just that alone really tells us where we are as a club. We shouldn't be winning a single Premier League trophy in our lifetimes. It should be several. We should be winning. We should be constantly in the semi-finals and the finals of the Champions League. It's not that long ago where we were considered as one of the best in England, and I think when Chelsea came, when Abramovich came, that the dynamics of the Premier League changed, and then Sheikh Mansour came, and it further dented that dynamic. But that's no excuse. Arsenal have had investment; they have had money to spend. They haven't spent it very well, and that's because we haven't had the people in the right places to make those changes work. And it really epitomizes the result of the game last night, actually, and what was missing from the pitch. And I guess we'll go into that a little bit more. We'll talk about the game itself. Let's start off by talking about the team lineup. It only took me, I think, an hour and a half before kickoff to realize we had a game. I got there, I was trying to park up, and there were road signs saying you can't match day parking suspension. I was thinking, hold on a minute, why is that sign there? We don't have a game today, do we? And then half an hour later, I realized, shit, we've got a game. Completely forgot. I saw the Everton bus come by, and but in terms of the starting lineup, let's talk about that. What were your first reactions when it was released?
My first reaction was it's kind of been the same in previous games. The only thing that I've noticed was again I think Granit Xhaka was playing left back, so he's persisting with that, and he has a huge I wouldn't say credit because it didn't really work out last night. I'm not sure, but to be persisting with him at left back, he must see something, and he must see something that's going to work eventually. What was the other thing? I've got the team lineup in front of me, so I'm having a look. Eddie Nketiah, I think a lot of people would have wanted Martinelli, but even I couldn't see Martinelli starting this game because I think Arteta has a feeling about Nketiah that he wants to start him in more games and wants to keep Martinelli maybe fresh for next season if he even survives that long. It's it's getting to the it's getting to the point where that's being questioned now, and I can't really I can't really disagree. I'm not Arteta out, but I can't really disagree with the fans that are do go that way, because it's getting a bit dire now in terms of the football we've been playing, and that's mostly down to individual errors. As the goal yesterday was an individual error by our goalkeeper. But yeah, it was just a bit weird. Rob Holding, captain, of course. Who else was there? Danny Ceballos started. The same midfielders, normally always previously. Good to see Pepe and Emil Smith Rowe in there. Odegaard did get on as well. But apart from that, no serious questions about the lineup.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was very surprised when the team lineup came out because it was something I almost got it right, almost predicted very right. I was glad that he got Mari back in rather than Gabriel, because, like I said, a centre back partnership is crucial. You really want two centre backs to be playing together who are comfortable with each other and who have created that solid foundation, that relationship that you need. So good to see them back together, and they fared pretty well during that game. Chambers, it was really good to see Chambers back as well. Someone who's been on top form, someone who's been performing really well for the last few games. And it was a shame. It was a real shame that Arteta played Bellerin against Fulham, because I felt like you should have continued with someone like Chambers, who you want really to take as much advantage of as possible, especially a player being on such great form. And then we had Granit Xhaka at the left. And James, how many times have I been talking about Granit Xhaka at left back? It doesn't really. I mean, it makes sense to play someone like Xhaka left back. I understand it. I get the logic. But wouldn't you rather like to see someone like Xhaka play in centre mid rather than left back? I don't understand why Arteta persisted with it, and I don't understand why this is option number one. Option number one should be to play Cedric left back, because Cedric can play left back. He's a defense. He's number one. First and foremost, the role of a left back is to make sure that you've got that space covered, and whoever you're marking, whoever you're playing up against, you are competent enough in defending well against them. Xhaka isn't a defender; he's a midfielder. No. He's a ball player. He knows how to pick up the ball, and he knows how to play it forward. But when he's up against someone like Richarlison, I can't make sense of it. Really, can you try and make sense of it for me?
Well, should we get Arteta in and he can make sense of it?
Yeah,
I just think that he knows deep down that the any European football through the league is absolutely dead and buried. Well, mathematically it's not, but it will be. I don't see us qualifying through the league anymore, as optimistic as I have been. So maybe it's just a case of he wants to try some new stuff and experiment in the league now, because we've got our biggest game coming up in midweek, of course. But yeah, I just don't understand why you wouldn't play a recognized player in that position. Because yes, we have Cedric. He's not an out-and-out left back, but at least he is a defender who's competent of doing a defensive role. And really, Xhaka isn't. I'd rather see Xhaka where he is most influential and most where he can make things happen, where he can be the driving force and be and complement Thomas Partey in that midfield there. And no disrespect to Dani Ceballos, but because I think he had a pretty good game last night, considering the circumstances. But I would like to see Granit Xhaka in his normal position. Whether that's going to happen or not, it's down to the manager, and the manager obviously makes the final decisions on the team selection. So we're just going to have to see. But I agree with what you're saying. I think we do need that defensive presence in there rather than have a makeshift defender.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. You've hit the nail on the head there. Those words, makeshift defender. It's a massive risk. I mean, everyone knows it's a risk playing Granit Xhaka at left back. Arteta probably knows it's a risk, but surely you should be able to be intelligent enough to weigh up that risk. When you're looking at your opponent and when you're looking at who he's going to be playing up against, when you know he's going to be playing up against someone like Richarlison, you should know straight away, right, I need someone like Cedric there who can defend, who can do a better defensive job than Xhaka. Put Xhaka in with Partey. I was hoping for that. I was hoping for Xhaka to play alongside Partey, and that way we'd be able to unlock Everton's defense a lot easier. And if there's one thing that I've noticed and I've and I can applaud Arteta on and the Arsenal, the players on, is their ability to play such great attacking football. In the last few weeks, we've really been seeing a nice, fluent presence going forward, managing to get the ball. Progressive. Getting the
fluent.
ball from fluent. Getting the ball from Partey really quickly to the feet of Smith Rowe, Saka, and Pepe. So other than aside from Xhaka and Nketiah, everyone else for me, I was happy to see. Pepe playing on the left hand side, very happy to see. Smith Rowe playing as a number 10, very happy to see. Saka on the right, something that you expect. But Nketiah up front for me, loads of question marks. I, in my heart of hearts, have known for a very long time that Nketiah isn't good enough to play for Arsenal, isn't good enough to play in the Premier League. And I think, again, this is something that the fans are responsible for. The stunt in development was created by the hype. The hype that came with him scoring on his first touch, the hype that came with him scoring, following up with a few more goals, and then overplaying him, overdoing it, not developing him in the right way. And now he's hit a brick wall. And I think confidence will have been hit, and also the momentum would have been stunted as well. So I think his time at Arsenal is done. He needs to move on now somewhere where he can restart again, press that restart button, and hopefully try and develop. He's still young, he's still 21 years old, but we don't need someone like that. We don't need someone who's just going to run around for the sake of running around and not really have that striker's instinct. I don't think he's quite developed that. So yeah, in terms of starting 11, fairly happy. It was strong enough, I think, to get something from Everton. But at the same time, Everton did have a very strong lineup too. I didn't expect Calvert-Lewin to play. He came back, so fair play to him. Sigurdsson was playing, Rodriguez, Richarlison, Alan, Andre Gomez. At the back, they had Godfrey, Holgate, Coleman, and Digne. And Pickford as well in goal, who was fantastic. So it was a very decent starting 11, and it was very similar. I guess if you want to compare man to man, man versus man, two teams who are quite equal in quality, in the way that they play football games. Again, both teams quite top heavy. The only bit of the only problem that I see with Everton's squad is their two centre backs. I don't think Godfrey and Holgate are good enough. And I guess we saw it. We saw the mistakes back at the back four. At times they looked a bit nervous. But let's talk about the game itself. First half. Do you remember much of the first half?
Oh god. You know what? No, not because not really, because so much of it I'm like you, I forgot we had a game on. Like I was watching the live stream for like an hour, and then I suddenly saw team news come out, and I was like, "What?" I said, there was a bit of me that went, "Why has this come out?" And then I was like, "Well, I might as well put the team news out." And then from there, the game started, and I was more focused on what was going on outside the stadium, because it was still going on. The protest was still going on when the game was being played, so I was more focused on what was going on outside the stadium rather than inside the stadium, and that shouldn't be happening. That shouldn't be happening right now as a football club when you've got a Premier League game on, but it's being forced to happen because it goes back all the way back to the Cronkies and what they've done to this football club. So they've turned our focus from a game to a protest, and if you're an Arsenal fan, you want to be focusing on the games and the way we're playing football, but we're automatically being drawn into other things that take our attention right now. So I can't really remember that much. I remember a few moments where we were good on the ball. We were getting the ball around. Well, I think we dominated the game. I think we dominated the game yesterday. We were on top of Everton for most of the game. I had some decent chances in there. I can't really remember who scored who had the chances, but I remember we had a few from Saka again, lively, Emil Smith Rowe, lively again. I think Pepe was okay, but yeah, it was just a blur really, because I was sort of one eye on the protest, one eye on the game. You heard I had it specifically. I normally watch the game on Sky Sports Main Event, but I had it on Sky Sports Premier League this time because I wanted to hear what was going on outside the stadium, and you could hear it. When they started the game, there was fireworks going off, and it kind of diverted my attention a bit. But no, not really. I can't see. It's a weird one, because normally I'd be right up for a game, but the protest took my full attention today, and that's what it's supposed to do. So that just proves it was a great protest, because it really took my full attention, and yeah.
Yeah, I echo those words. I mean, it did feel like the game felt like a representation of what had been going on for the last week. Just really unfocused, very slow, sluggish, very I don't know. It just lacked passion, lacked desire, lacked. I just didn't get the impression that they wanted to be there and they wanted to play. And this isn't just for the Arsenal players. This is for Everton as well. They didn't turn up. I don't think I think this was a game where it's, and whatever the result, might have been, just move on to the next game, and the next game is the most crucial. But I definitely got from the first half a sense of two teams who were displaying some good footballing abilities. I mean, there's no question in my mind, having watched the Everton game, that Arsenal can't play football. They can. They play the game really well. They pass the ball around with confidence, and they're able to get into different zones of the pitch whenever they want. And that's credit to Arteta for coaching them the way he has and developing that side of the game. Because before Arteta came, I was very worried with the way that Arsenal approached games and the lack of confidence they had on the ball. Never mind off the ball. But yesterday, both on and off the ball, they were disciplined. They played pretty well football, like you said. Emil Smith-Rowe and Saka were really bright. I was really impressed with Partey as well, and Ceballos, especially Ceballos. Actually, I think he goes under the radar a lot, but some of the balls that he was putting in, again, some beautiful
Chambers
crosses
as well with the crosses. Oh.
Yeah, Chambers as well on the right hand side, really good crosses, and that really frustrated me because there was service, there was plenty of it, there was plenty of service getting into the box, but Nketiah not being able to get in the right places at the right time. There's periods in the game where he was playing far left for some reason, when we needed him in the middle. Russ has made a comment and said Partey had a shocker last night. I tend to disagree with you, Russ, because I think I understand why you're saying Partey had a shocker. He picked up a yellow card. He gave away a few cheap fouls. One of the free kicks he gave away. Sigurdsson clipped the bar. But I think overall, what Partey did is something we've been missing for a very long time, and that is initiative. That is a central midfield who really is an out-and-out box-to-box player who presses high up and who defends pretty well as well. Granted, the long shots that he was having were a little bit irritating. There was a couple of times, and he needs to stop this. Actually, he needs to stop having 30-yard screamers. I think in the back of his head is thinking one of these 30-yard screamers will pay off. But
and then he'll go, "I told you so. It was worth the wait."
You so. Yeah. So this is something that he needs to work on. There are parts of there are aspects in every footballer that needs to be improved, especially in this Arsenal squad. But having said that, I'm far happier watching the way that we're playing football last night than I have been under Unai Emery. I don't think us fans quite appreciate how much things have changed on the pitch, because thinking back a season and a half ago where we weren't able to string two passes together, you only need to look back actually before December, maybe 6 months ago, where we were struggling really hard to play out from the back, making constant mistakes, not being able to pass it efficiently, not being able to make the right decisions. But like I said yesterday, I didn't see any of that. I didn't see any real concerns in that first half. The only concern for me was not being able to pull the trigger, not being deadly enough in the final third. Not being clinical enough, and I guess on the flip side, you got someone like Everton who weren't playing good football, who weren't able to ask many questions. But when they did get the odd opportunity, and in the first half, I think Richarlison was through on goal, forced a good save from Leno. Sigurdsson hit the post. I can't remember anybody else having an opportunity, but definitely in the first half, Everton had the lion's share of the better opportunities. Arsenal, on the other hand, were a bit fading in and out of the game. Like I said, very reminiscent of what was going on outside and potentially what they had at the back of their head. So overall, first half very flat. Two teams playing some good football, but not really making anything of it. Us fans easily get frustrated when all we do is pass around. But again, I don't think we quite appreciate how difficult that is sometimes for Arsenal to keep the ball and to pass it around, where we've been terrible at doing the simplest of things, like passing the ball around without making a mistake. But also, I don't know if you want to add anything else to that first half.
Yeah, you as you said, we were pretty flat, but you would think that the club would know, or the players would know what is going on outside. And try it. This could work two ways. They're either down because they know what's going on, or they can try and they can try and put on a show and try and bring some of that energy in the stadium. Because I saw one comment that said, "Oh, it's great that we have this, this energy outside the stadium, but can we bring some of it inside the stadium? Obviously, not as in fans, but as in just the overall feeling, and maybe transfer some of that onto the players." But yeah, it was very flat, very very side to side in some ways, passing to side, and not being clinical enough. I say that I say the words so many times. I feel like I'm a broken record, but it's just not. We have chances to kill games, and we just never ever take them. And it's something we definitely need to work on.
Yeah, and it's not like there wasn't any service. Like it's not like there weren't opportunities where we were able to get the ball in the final third. There were amples of opportunities with Pepe and Saka and Emil Smith Rowe, doing really good stuff up there. But like I said, if you don't have a competent striker up front, if you don't have a finisher, if you don't have someone who knows where to be at the right time, right place at the right time, that's what happens. And again, this really does relate back to the Cronkies and the damage that they've done, because the damage that they have done was clear on show last night on the football pitch. Without a striker, without investing in a competent striker, which we should have done so long ago, but we haven't been able to do that because they didn't put the right people in charge. It went from Sven Mislintat to Raul Senyehi to now Edu and Arteta. Richard Garlick's coming in as well. So look, chopping and changing season in, season out has proven once again that we suffer on the football pitch, because not having Lacazette and Aubameyang has shown us that we are so far away from building a squad with depth, that unless something drastic is done in the summer, we're going to be lurking around the middle of the table. And to even rely and depend on Lacazette, someone who hasn't been the best finisher in the last few seasons and could be on his way out, and another guy, Aubameyang, who's on his last legs. This is someone who is approaching the age of retirement, and aside from those two, Arsenal don't have anyone else to play up front. So what does that say about the club? What does that say about the priorities? You've got 6 or 7 central midfielders who you don't need. You bring in Odegaard, fair enough. You need someone there to be able to replace Emil Smith Rowe every now and again. You're forgetting that Emil Smith Rowe and Saka only came into the squad by chance and by luck. If they hadn't been promoted from the word I'm looking for is
under 23s,
the academy. Sorry, yeah. Then we would be in serious trouble. I mean, the depth in this squad is non-existent. Who do you have as a replacement for right back? If Callum Chambers hadn't been slipped in there, and by the way, Callum Chambers is a natural centre back, you've got Cedric to replace Bellerin on the right. Our centre backs, fair enough. You've got plenty of centre backs. Well, not really plenty of centre backs. You've got David Luiz and you've got Pablo Mari as replacements to Gabriel and Holding. Or if you want Luiz and Gabriel playing, then you've only got Holding and Mari. And then you've got on our left back, you've got no one to replace Tierney. Centre midfielders, aside from Xhaka and Partey, you've got Ceballos, who's on loan from Real Madrid. And other than that, you've got El Neni. Joe Willock's out on loan. Tierney's out on... Sorry, Torreira's out on loan. And Guendouzi's out on loan. And all 3 of those players are potentially, assets that the club are looking to sell in the summer. As a number 10, other than Emil Smith Rowe, you haven't got anyone because we've bought Odegaard on loan. And if you think back to the start of the season, you didn't even have Emil Smith Rowe. Who did you have as a number 10? Nobody. You'd play Ozil, and Ozil was someone who was barely making the bench, let alone the starting 11. And then I think the only positions we've got decent adequate cover is our wingers. With Pepe, Aubameyang to some extent, Martinelli, Saka, and Willian. But even those players, I don't think are players that you want to rely on. Like, I don't want to rely on Willian to come on and to make a difference. Do you know what I mean? So the problems are so deep. I don't know whether one transfer window is enough to fix it.
No, I completely agree. And again, it stems back to the owners. What I'm about to say. You'd think that they would recognise if they were football people. And I get. We have an operations team. We have Edu. We have Arteta as well, who is very very who knows the football side. But you'd think an owner would go, yeah, we need some cover here. We need to get some players in because we need to get some players in here, and we need to basically tell Arteta that it's not enough, and we need to get more players, and we need to finance that. But do they really care? Do they really care that we lost yesterday? That's the
Probably
question.
not. Yeah.
Probably not. I had a look actually when the protest was going on. I had a look at the time zone in I think it was Denver, where Stan Kroenke lives, Denver, Colorado, where his ranch is. So I had a look at what time it would be. He would definitely know that there was a protest going on last night. But does he care? No. Well, he might go, oh, what are these Arsenal fans doing? I could genuinely just see him sitting in his chair going, huh, what are these Arsenal fans doing then? It's just, I hope that's not the case, and I hope he actually feels a bit of remorse, but I doubt it. I really, 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 I doubt it. But yeah, the depth is something that we need to address. I mean, as you said, Callum Chambers at right back. If he gets injured, who are we going to put there? It's all makeshift, and that's not generally down to Arteta. That's not Arteta's fault, I don't think. That is lack of investment from the owners, and you can't say Arteta hasn't, because he would want to. He's a club captain. He's a club. Well, I use this loosely. He's a club. Well, I don't want to say legend, but he's been a club captain. He knows what it's like to play for Arsenal Football Club. He'll know that we need. He will know, hands down, that we need players, and he would ask Stan Kroenke for those players, and it's up to Stan Kroenke again to provide the cash. And if he's not doing that, Arteta just is forced to work with what he has. So until we see adequate change at the top, we're not going to see adequate change on the pitch, unless Josh Kroenke is true to his word and says, "Oh, we're gonna invest." But to be honest with you, I hear that every single summer. I heard it a few summers ago when he said, "Oh, be excited." Yes, I was excited for about 5 minutes until I saw the lack of depth we actually had. Yeah, we signed Pepe and we signed Tini, but we signed no one else. If you want to build a squad, if you want to build a great squad, you only have to look at what City have done. I know City are owned by competent owners, and they know what they want they know what they want to do, which is fair enough. But you see City's bench. That alone shows you that it can be done, and that you need players. But yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult to watch as an Arsenal fan right now. Constantly losing, constantly having people laugh at you on social media, going, "Oh, Arsenal this, Arsenal are in mid-table mediocrity." Records are being set, and not records that we're proud of either. I think that was Everton's first. I think that was Everton's first win in 25 years. Our worst start to a season since God knows how long. So many losses in a season. It's just really terrible reading, and terrible. It's a terrible time to be an Arsenal fan. I don't want to overplay that, but it is. The only thing that we can hope for is winning the Europa League and hopefully getting back in the Champions League. But that also brings with it, what are the sanctions? What are the sanctions going to be for this Super League? Because there are going to be sanctions, so we might end up not even having European football by even winning the Europa League, because you don't know what the sanctions will be. Because I guarantee you there will be sanctions, and there will be. But you know what? It's their fault, and they made the bed. They have to lie in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't say any more than that.
Yeah, no, you're right, and again, that's something I didn't really think about. If Arsenal don't start picking up points, who knows what the Premier League might do to clubs, to what kind of sanctions they'll put on the clubs. I mean, I know they'd be discussing ways to sanction clubs without affecting the fans, because at the end of the day, it's not fans and it's not the actual team or the manager who are at fault here. It's the owners. But going back to the game, you made
Yes,
the
sorry.
point that it's frustrating
Yeah.
watching Arsenal with witnessing an Arsenal squad that has so little in depth. But in the second half, it didn't look as if this was a squad that was suffering from depth or from talent. They absolutely dominated that second half, and you almost forget that they were playing against a really good Everton side. Maybe not a really good Everton side on top form, in good form, but certainly an Everton side who had all the talent in the world to beat a side like Arsenal. So I was really impressed with the second half performance, I have to say. Let's talk about the penalty issue when Danny went down. For you, was that a penalty?
No,
Hmm.
I have to be honest. I don't think it was. I
Did
think
you? What did you think about the way Danny went down?
again, it's that. Oh, I don't, because I'm an Arsenal fan. Obviously, I want us to have these chances and get these chances, even though they're not stamped down penalties.
Yeah.
But that was just ridiculous. He didn't really touch him.
Hmm.
And I said, I referenced my dad because he watches most of the games with me, but he said, "Oh, it's a penalty because he's gone down in the box." And
Hmm.
I'm like, even if you go down in the box and you get the slightest of touches, I don't still consider that a penalty. I think that's a soft penalty to be given. And if it wasn't for the offside, which is just shambles in itself, that
Yeah.
offside rule, but we'll get onto that. But it would have been a penalty, and for me, I would have loved to have scored it because we need some of that luck to go our way, but it just there always seems to be something else,
Hmm. Hmm.
just waiting in the wings to just go, nah, not today, nah,
Yeah.
not today. So it's always I was happy that we may got a penalty, but then it was like, nah, you know what, we're gonna pull that back because
Hmm.
it's just Arsenal, isn't it? And it's Arsenal to a T. We get
Hmm.
something going, and then they go, nope, not today. And then it gets ruled out for offside. And a very, very, I don't even know, a very, very, you know, dubious offside. But you know
Hmm.
what? I can't say dubious because it is offside. In the letter of the law, as it stands now, in the rule book, it is offside.
Bollocks is offside. Bollocks is offside. I mean, you look back to last week against Fulham, the guy's hand was clearly offside,
Yeah.
but they didn't give it to him. They didn't give that as offside. They kept it as onside. And what was it? Was it Pepe's elbow? It
Elbow.
was
But
like
no,
it was like it was like half a millimeter.
I
It was
understand. I don't think
yeah,
it was offside. Well, but people talk about that letter of the law as it stands now, and the rule needs to be
yeah.
changed. So
Mm,
change the rule then.
mm,
Don't I'm sure you're able to change a rule mid-season because this is stupid. Not just for Arsenal, for the whole entire game, for the whole
mm,
entire game of football. The rules are a shambles. And
mm.
Arteta, that is the most angry. That is probably the most angriest I've seen him in a press conference for a while.
Yeah,
He came out on that offside decision and said, "Nah, not today." He said, "I've had enough. I've had
mm,
enough
mm.
of these decisions, of these referees who are incompetent, who don't know what they're doing, and it's just so sad to see." And then I just don't know. I'm at a loss to even think about why these decisions are coming to such fine margins and why they, you know, the referees must be having an absolute field day in
Yeah,
Stockley Park and going,
yeah.
oh yeah, we're gonna just put it under a microscope and
Mm, mm,
I bet they laugh. I bet they see what's going on social media and laugh about it and
mm,
go, oh well, it's not our decision, it's the rule book.
mm.
But what we need is a referee to. I know we've said it. I know we've said it so many times, but what we need is a referee to come out. So say like your Mike Deans and your John Mosses to say,
Yeah,
yeah, this rule we really don't like giving it, but this rule is stupid.
yeah,
And when
yeah,
if a referee was to come out and say it, then you have to do something because that is a referee's job is to referee the game the best they can. And this is not me sticking up for referees because I think the referees we have in the Premier League are shambolic.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but I feel for them in the sense that it is the rules and they have to stick by a rule book. Otherwise, they potentially face the rules, the aspect to losing their jobs. But some of the rules is just absolutely ridiculous. I you know, I would love to go back in time to where we didn't have VAR and just had football. I was watching a championship game the other day, and it was just seamless. They just scored and got on with it. There was no check. There was no nothing. It was just nice to just see a normal game of football without any sort of rules and circumstances and everything in place. But it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I second those words. It is ridiculous, and I think I'm at a point now where I don't even get upset about it anymore.
No.
It's made me so like desensitized from it, and it's quite strange to see Arteta react the way that he did, because you totally understand it. I mean, I totally get it,
absolutely.
But the moment that it was ruled offside, I had a 5-second meltdown where I was like, "What on earth is going on?"
Yeah. Same with me, but
then after that, it was just like, just gonna have to get on with the game.
Yeah, same old, isn't it?
Same old. And as for the Danny penalty, I applaud Danny Ceballos for going down, because ever since that David Luiz red card, that was it for me. That was it. I don't care about playing the game fair and square. I don't care for being the honourable team who does things right. We need to look out for ourselves now, because that penalty, if there's anything that penalty showed, it was the fact that no one is, the whole world is out there against us, and that's what it seems at times. When you give an offside like that, I'm sorry. Yeah, go on, mate.
Can I just read some of the transcript from yesterday's press conference, because I have some of the questions here. So, on Arteta being unhappy at VAR decision on the penalty, this is what he had to say. Well, this is because it's been building up. Enough is enough. And today, to be fair, I had enough. We've had so many of them, and no one explains. So basically, he's saying no one explains it. No one comes out and goes. No one referee or no one person high up comes out and explains, why they did what they did. And then they say, when they do explain it, they just say, "Oh, sorry, it's a mistake." But unfortunately, it's affecting a lot of people, and it's affecting our job, and most importantly, our football club. And then he says whether he wants someone to apologize tonight. This is the bit that I don't really understand. But on whether he wants someone to apologize tonight, yeah. But what they do is behind the telephone. So whether he wants someone to come out and go, just like meet with him and go, you know what, I made a mistake, or whether he's referring to the referees when they call him up and go, yeah, sorry about that. And then he also said something about. Yeah, that was the last thing he said about. Yeah, and then if you scroll down, he says on if he would stop using VAR in the Premier League. He said, "I really like the technology. If we could just use," I love this word. I love these two words: consistency and clarity. That is what we need: consistency and clarity. Because I love VAR because it does work. Yeah. But these fine margins and fine mistakes, we need consistency in the decisions, and we need clarity on what has been happening. The only clarity I've seen happen is when they put the screen with the no goal, and you can actually see who they added. I think they added the goal, the person that did the foul, and then what the decision was and why it was. So like it would say, for instance, Xhaka handball. That is the only clarity I've seen. No other clarity. No other clarity from any Premier League official or anything like that. It's just sad. It's just sad to see. It's not just us. It's Premier League teams have had decisions going against them, but obviously the main one I want to talk about is Arsenal. But yeah, it's just really, really upsetting to see.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Let's talk about the goal that we conceded, because I don't think there's
Please
much.
don't.
Yeah. I don't think there's much else we can talk about in that second half. I mean, there were plenty of opportunities that Arsenal created. You know, Partey having a few long pots. There was a really good shot from Ceballos that forced a save from Jordan Pickford. Pickford, by the way, who put in a really good performance in goal. But up until the 75th minute, I was fairly happy with what was going on. I think
Yep.
Eddie coming off at the 72nd minute was a little bit late for me. Should have been taken off earlier, but I was happy to see Odegaard and Martinelli come on. And you know, then as soon as they come on, I think it's only 5 minutes we have to wait before we concede the goal. What on earth happened?
I don't know. Oh, what on earth? I had to, I sat there and my jaw just opened in utter disbelief. I really don't understand. And I'm starting to question Leno's role in the team now. I'm really starting to. I never thought I would, because these mistakes are getting more and more often, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. Why even now I'm just thinking back to the goal and having nightmares. Because it's just, you'd expect someone of Bernd Leno's quality and he's played in big matches. He saved us on many occasions. Don't get me wrong. He's been absolutely class. But this season alone, he is just. It's like you flipped a switch. It's like you've gone. Well, we're gonna take everything you were good for last season and just throw it in the bin. Because he's just been making more and more mistakes. And yes, we've seen Ryan and we've seen other we've seen Ryan play, but that's not enough in my opinion. And I think he should start next game. I think Bernd Leno shouldn't be anywhere near Thursday's lineup, but because it's just too often. And God forbid, we got to a final. We got to a final of the Europa League, and he made a mistake. Boy, he would have to go. If we had like when Liverpool had that carrier situation in the Champions League final, if we had something like that in the Europa League final with Leno, he's not. There's no way you can push away out of that. I just think he needs to. I don't know what he could do really. Just better his game. I don't know whether it's the goalkeeping coach or whoever, but he's just turned into an absolute nightmare at times.
Well, I tweeted it almost instantly. Well, no, I didn't tweet it almost instantly. I tweeted at the end of the game. Is it now time that we have the Bernd Leno discussion? Because how many more mistakes can one goalkeeper make? I have given him the benefit of the doubt because of the last few seasons that he's carried us through. He started off his career brilliantly at Arsenal. It looked like, up until the injury, it looked like we had found ourselves a real goalkeeper, someone who was talented. He's someone who was really good at saving shots from long, from short, from someone who had great instinctive abilities as a goalkeeper. But what's proven is that he can't handle pressure. I think that's what it is with Bernd Leno. He just doesn't know how to play under pressure, and not the team playing under pressure, because he would have been used to this type of pressure that Arsenal play under every week. But as an individual player who would have been under pressure ever since coming back from injury, especially with the Martinez, saga, where fans were debating whether we should sell him or Martinez, or what Arteta would have fancied. Now that he's won his place back, I think he's almost a little bit complacent now, knowing that he will be number one. And he made those famous comments. I will be Arsenal's. I'm Arsenal's number one today. I was Arsenal's number one yesterday, and I will be Arsenal's number one in the future. And I think it's getting to his head a little bit, but you can't. I mean, I said this before. You can't be beaten at your near post. Yeah. That's number one. And that's bad enough for me. But this is unforgivable. Yeah. You cannot be playing for Arsenal Football Club and concede a goal like that. And we saw what happened to Robert Green when in the World Cup. Was it the World Cup? Robert Green, where
against the USA,
against the US. That's unforgivable. That is career ending. Yeah, that's career ending. That's it. That's the end of you. If if it's in his best interest, he would give himself a month. He would see the rest of the season off on the bench. Because I don't want to see someone with those mistakes in their game continuing to play in goal for Arsenal.
Yes, for instance, I don't want to. If we get to the final and lose it, I don't want to go. Oh, it's Leno's fault.
Yeah,
That's what we don't want to do because I don't want to be too harsh because that is unforgivable. That is completely. I know we have Ronison, and he's made mistakes, but he's our first team. He's our third team goalkeeper for a reason.
yeah,
But Leno, who's been he was consistently good last season and made some great saves, but now it's just becoming unforgivable. How can you make those mistakes as a Premier League goalkeeper? It's
yeah. You
becoming.
can't. You
We
can't.
need
You
to. We
absolutely can't.
need, and for a club like Arsenal Football Club, it's just. Well, I say for a club like Arsenal Football Club, really hesitantly because we're not the club we used to be, and it's really sad to see we're nowhere near at the moment the club we used to be. The only part of the club that seems to be where it always used to be is the fans because they still have as much passion as anyone.
Mm.
But I'm thinking it's seriously time to have a look. Maybe in the summer. I know Gianluigi Donnarumma might be available for free. I'm not sure if that still stands or
Mm.
anything
Mm.
like that. But
Mm.
we certainly need to have a look at what's the word I'm looking for? Contingency plans. So like
Yeah,
if
yeah,
Leno was to leave and go, who will we bring in? So it's interesting to see. It will be very
yeah.
interesting in the summer, and hopefully all these questions will be answered. And who knows? The ideal situation is in the summer. We get a new owner in, and
Mm.
we and we get some. I'll use the word again. We get some clarity on
Mm.
that situation as well. But who knows? Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah, who knows? We yet to see what's to happen for the rest of the season. We yet to see if Arsenal drop any further than they are at the minute. I don't think we will be finishing any higher than ninth. I think it's a big ask. If Everton win their game in hand, we'll be 9 points behind them with 5 games to play. So I think the season is done and dusted in the Premier League. But we've got a game coming up in the Europa League against Villarreal on Thursday. That's going to be, as we have said numerous times already this season, the game of the season. This will be the game of our season, and if we lose this tie, that's it. That's European football done for the next season, and deservedly so. We don't deserve to be in the Europa League, let alone the Champions League, with the things that are going on right now. But I think I'm going to end it here. I think we've
Yeah.
spoken about the game as much as we have. As much as we could have. I don't think there's much more to add about that game other than a very disappointing result. Following from the goal that we conceded, they didn't pick themselves up. They didn't create many other opportunities. Confidence was hit, but something we've seen time and time again.
Yeah.
Villarreal's next. Arteta needs to do. I'm praying and I'm hoping that Aubameyang returns back from malaria because God knows we need him up front. If we've got Nketiah again against Villarreal, it's going to be a very, very long evening, and we're going to be playing away as well, which means we need to be scoring goals to get those away goals. So yeah, and I'll leave it there. We can talk about Villarreal another day. We can touch on football another day. It just doesn't feel right to be talking about football today and this week, especially with everything that's happened. I think I'm just ready for this whole season to be over and to be given a long, nice break in the summer where we can just regroup and see what the club
Well,
actually do. That's what we're
we
waiting for, isn't it?
absolutely. Well, we've got football in the summer as well, so we've got the Euros coming up,
Yep.
so we're not going to be devoid of any football. So we've got the
Mm,
Euros to
mm,
concentrate on in terms of national team.
yep.
But yeah, it would be nice to have that break, and hopefully fans will be back in the stadium.
Mhm.
But would it be a good thing? I say obviously it will be a good thing to have fans back in the stadium, but it will just amplify
Yeah.
the discontent around the
Mm.
club because I could imagine that first game back is going to be absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't put a word on it. Absolute,
Chaos.
yeah, chaos. Yeah, absolute chaos.
I hope
Because
so anyway. I hope the fans that attend, because like I said, the fans that attend games and the fans that were there at the protest yesterday were two different types of fans. And I hope that fans who attended to those protests yesterday are there at the games and are continuing to make the noise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Because
All
that's
right,
what we
so we're
want.
gonna. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we need. So
Yes.
it's what we need. We need this right now. We need this to continue. And like I said, there will be another protest scheduled for the next few weeks. I think in May on the 6th. For I think the majority of the tweets are coming out saying that it will be on the 2nd, but some people are saying it's on the 6th. It will become all very clear soon
Hmm.
when the next protest will be. But what we do
Yep.
know is there will be another protest and there will be another opportunity for fans to voice their opinion. I want to say thank you to everyone who has listened to this podcast. If you enjoyed it, please do give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. That would be highly, hugely appreciated. If you want, if you want to reach out to us and let us know what you thought about this episode or add to what we've already said, you can find me on Twitter at Gunner since 96. You can find James on Twitter at James Payne AFC. You can also find me on YouTube at Gunner since 96, where I'll be releasing plenty more content about Arsenal, about the games that are coming up, and all the stuff that's going on with the Cronky out and the Super League as well. But we're going to end it here. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back for another post-match reaction podcast on Thursday. But until then, stay home, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.